Good morning.
Merry Christmas! Woo! Today we're together and we are trying to bake cookies. And we have a few fun Christmas cookie cutters that you might be interested in. And what we're doing right now is Miss Laurel, Miss Jackie, is Elf Jackie. She's got the muscles, I don't, and we're going to try to soften up this dough and roll it out, okay? So give us a few minutes to do that.
It's done. It's done.
It's coming. She is so strong.
It's good.
So what are we doing?
The sticks, yeah.
The sticks, these are very small on the side, narrow sticks, about a quarter, not even a whole quarter inch. And what you do to make sure that your cookies are all even in width, you put the sticks here, and you're going to you have to continue working with your dough. And what we're going to do is put some parchment paper over the dough, because if you keep putting too much flour, it's not always in the best interest once the cookie starts to bake, because it might get a little larger, whatever. So we're going to put the parchment paper, and she's going to work on spreading it out, and we're going to get to the point where she's level.
So cool with
the
the
wheel.
sticks.
Yeah, the sticks are really cool, because once she gets there, she's going to spread, roll this way, roll that way, but eventually what our goal is for the roller to sit on the sticks, and therefore we know, hey, we've got the same width in our cookies. Can you believe that? And you can buy different sizes. Depends how thick you want your cookie. We're going thin today because I just did one batch of cookie dough. Speaking of the cookie dough, you need to pick your own favorite cookie dough recipe. And one of the bases of the recipe should definitely be a form of a sugar cookie, shortbread cookie, whatever that recipe might be. In this one, I threw in some flour, some butter, some sugar, an egg, and of course, one of my favorites is the extract that you use on your cookie. A lot of people use vanilla, and that is perfectly fine. My favorite is almond extract, and I also throw in this neat wedding bouquet type, which runs pretty much aligned with your almond cookie. So you notice as she's doing this, she's very close. Yeah, looks like pretty even. Want to do one more close one? Watch. The center of your dough is always going to be at its best and the thickest, obviously. Okay.
Tell me, sister.
Okay, now. Okay, girl.
She's the expert.
No, she's the muscle. Okay, but I'm the age and she's the beauty. All right, so what she's going to do is push one more time, and I want you to notice that this roller is going to be sitting. Our goal is to get it to sit on those sticks, and therefore, from there we know that, hey, we're pretty close to doing a great job. You notice that? Look at that, it's sitting
Takes a
right
little
there.
abstract too.
I need to do it more often. Okay, from there, we're going to pick out, we're going to try to do at least one of our precious cuts. We have Christmas lights. Isn't that awesome? We have snowflake. We have the good old traditional Christmas tree. Believe it or not, we've got a candy wrap. And what would we do without the good old ho-ho-ho Santa boot, Santa stocking, okay? So we're going to try to do at least one of each for you today, just to see it. You want to show them? Once it's cut out. We could show that for you, Ms. Ross.
One of the things she said to jiggle the cookie cutter so that the dough moves away from the cutter so that it comes out a little bit smoother.
It's an easier to work with. Now, one thing that I failed to tell you, I prepared this dough last night, and it's very important that your dough sits in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours before you start manipulating it to make your cookies. Now, some people freeze it, and you're welcome to freeze it if the cookie dough freezes beautifully. I did have it wrapped in some parchment paper, and then I had it in a Ziploc bag, and I just threw it in the refrigerator like that. Another thing is that you're gonna see that we're gonna put this, after we finish using it, we're gonna put it in the refrigerator because it's been exposed to the warmth of our hand. And you just set it in there for, what, maybe 10 minutes? Yeah, just enough to give it some good coldness, because that's how you want it to enter into the oven. Because if it's too soft, it begins to start spreading, and you lose the beauty of your shape. Notice how the thickness, how nice this is. Notice they're very, very similar. And that's only if that's something you want to acquire. Some people are good. Yeah. We need a
Yeah,
boot.
I know, we just ran out of space, so we'll
All right.
redo it.
We're gonna get us a boot. So, and that's what's important, don't waste it. Now make sure to put a little bit of flour again.
I forgot that last time. It made for a sticky mess,
It
let's
does.
just say that.
In fact, what ends up happening is that as you're trying to get your cookie off the surface, that you just, try to use your cutter on, it starts to, you have to work it harder, and then it starts to break down the cookie. So the best thing is always cover the surface.
Not your cookie dough as I was doing.
Now, some people also use, a wooden roller. This is another type of roller that I acquired because I like to also bake cakes, and it's a great one to use for, I like to make the decorations with fondant, and you can use it with that as well.
So what kind of roller is it?
Well, it's
Marble or?
Well,
what?
it's more of an acrylic, it's almost like acrylic, I don't know, feel it. I forgot the name. I'll try to find out
It's
though.
not plastic.
But a good old wooden roller, the typical wooden roller is beautiful. I just wasn't gonna go spend more money on something that I already had that I could use it. So yes, it is a very good one to use for both fondant as well as your cookie dough.
All right.
Here comes Santa Claus's boot. Okay, so we're gonna put these in the oven. In the oven right now. Normally I would have refrigerated them, but this first group still feels very, what do you think? Very firm, huh? They're very firm, and you can see that. All right, that's what we want. So we're gonna go on into the oven now, okay? Normally you bake a cookie at 350. Of course, you always follow the recipe. But one of the great things that I learned in one of my cookie classes and baking classes is that you always lessen the temperature 25 degrees of whatever it is. It's better off to bake a cookie slowly rather than have the bottom burn and the middle not cooked. Sounds good? All right.
All right, guys. So these are the ones we cut earlier, but we had to put back in the refrigerator so that they would be nice and firm before we put them in the oven. So we'll just repeat the same process that we did before. So we'll put them in the oven and then on 325 and let them cook. And then we'll take them out and let them settle.
Still needs time for cooking. One of the things that we look for, if you want to look close, Miss Robin, is that, these are looking beautifully. They're rising nicely, but I need to get them to be a little light brown at the bottom. And I'm going to trust the timer. We still have, a few seconds left. So it appears that just maybe this oven, 325, I need to cook them a little longer. Sounds good? Okay. All right, well, I think it looks good. Looks like we're ready. So back to the edging. If you notice these cookies, there's still nothing seriously brown around them. That's something that a professional cookie decorator would want to achieve. I'm having fun. But these are still great. Yummy. You smell them? Yum, yum. So we're gonna set them aside because they really, really need to cool off. Okay, so let's go to the start of how to I decorate a cookie. One of the things is you never decorate a hot cookie. All right, and the best thing is that the cookie has a tendency to settle. Notice it's still a little elevated. It has a tendency to settle. So I'm going to show you some cookies that we're going to be working with that we baked yesterday, Miss Laurel and I, and you'll see the difference. Miss Laurel, you want to grab one of them that's settled so they can see the comparison? So these have sat over 24 hours, and that's the good news. Thank you. Okay, here's a snowflake, and you can see the difference. You see this one's a little more puffy. You know, it hasn't settled. See how this has settled. It's a little thinner, but it's great. Notice the candy wrap. It's a little more fluffy. It hasn't settled because it's still warm. It's still baking on the inside. So what we're going to do is let that sit, and we'll probably enjoy that later on. So in the meantime, we're going to go and work on decorating a cookie. Okay, so we've baked cookies. We've noticed how beautiful they are. They have had time to settle in. They've cooled off. Miss Jackie, we have our candy. We have our
Christmas tree. Our lights.
Our lights, aren't they adorable? We have some more trees on this side, and of course we have a few Santa stockings. So the next part, though, prep is always the most challenging part when you're getting ready to decorate a cookie like this. The kind of decorating we're going to do is called a tipless. We're using what we call a tipless bag. And so for the tipless bag, you really don't need tips that you would normally use for decorating a cake or even for cookies. So the tipless bag, I buy these at Baker's Choice here in Lafayette, and this is a smaller size, a larger obviously if I have a lot more icing. In fact, I use the tipless bag, the large one, if you want to show them. Yeah, that one. Look at this. This is a lot of, and I call this my backup supply. So if I have to mix some more, I'm ready to be able to do that. So I have a backup supply in the big bags. And these are basically the smaller bags because I'm not going to be doing a lot of, we're not going to be doing dozens of cookies at this point in time. So great bag, and you have to, I cut a very, very, very small amount because I want it fine. I want it thin, and we're going to show you that process a lot later, after a while. You see, they're already in the bags, the colors. But let's talk about colors. Where did I get the colors? I also buy my colors at this same.
Pardon? You need the little bottles too?
Well, it's any kind of food color that you choose to use, okay? So that's where I just buy them at a baker's place, okay? As far as how to make the icing, some people have their own home royal icing recipes, okay? And the consistency, how thin it is, how thick it is, depends on how much confectionery sugar you choose to put in it. Some of these bags that you see a large clip, these bags, I have a very thin consistency because they're going to be my piping bag. I'm going to flood, the word is called flood, the cookie with some of these. And the smaller bags, these are a little thicker because I want to use them to decorate the cookie, like maybe put dots or have some fun, swirly, whatever, exciting things. Now, when you use the icing that I buy, I don't use a home icing recipe, royal icing recipe. I haven't tried it yet, but I hear people that love it, and so go for it, if you can find one. I use this one, and it's called a cake, let's see the company, it's called CK Products. Now, believe it or not, I usually buy all white, but this product, if you look at the window, everything looks white, but actually once you start to add the water, everything turns green. I didn't use that one, but I put it aside. Great, look, why not have these colors, for Christmas, and already set for you. This one, believe it or not, is a black, okay? So I've got the traditional colors right here. You can buy them in white. One of the things that I've always been told, that these seem to handle humidity a lot easier than the typical homemade confectionery royal icing, okay? So I chose this route. I haven't tried the other one, and I could be totally wrong, but I'm okay with this. I've been working with this long enough to just stick to it. I get all this stuff at Baker's Choice, and I learned all of this through an instructor there. They have great cookie classes if you're ever interested. Okay, so once I have made my basic icing, my royal icing, I start separating what I think I need to decorate my cookies. And so I did this. We picked our colors. We sat down and organized what maybe we would like to have, color our different cookies. And so overnight, last night I made all my icing. So sometimes with this particular royal icing that I use, the colors begin to separate a little bit, and so they need a little literally need, how dark it is here, but how light it is right here. And so what's going to happen is that the colors, if you don't check that, don't feel like it's messed up. Well, it is messed up, but don't feel like it's disastrous, okay? Just go, all you have to do is do exactly what Miss Laurel is doing, and she's kneading it to make sure that all around there's no spots, no specific spots. So you see right here, you see as I'm kneading, as Miss Laurel's kneading, see what's starting to happen. The dark color is going away, and I'll do it from top to bottom. And it's nice, good nice stress, those squeeze balls, and just keep kneading your cookies. So that's something, sometimes you'll run into that. Most likely you will. You see the red has some separation right here. Right here. So when you see something that looks like a blotch, that is just letting you know, hey, mix me up again, I need to get.
So you mix all these colors in individual bowls and then you send them in here, or how does that work?
The way I do it, believe it or not, I have plastic cups, and but I do have bowls. And one of the things that I did, because I have multiple, look at the different greens I have. If you notice, there's large clips, and then there are small clips. The small clips are a lot firmer. There's a little more, this is a lot softer, but this one is a little firmer because I want a little stiffening. This one I want to flood, this one I want to stiffen, all right? And so I use a small clip to distinguish the difference between the ones I'm going to use to flood the cookie, and you'll understand that as we work. But this one is also to help with the special decorations, just to enhance the cookie, right? Did I answer that question?
Yeah, if you mix them separately and then you spoon it into the bags.
Okay, yes, I have to mix them separately, and the way I did these green, especially these blues. Let's show you the blues. Well, I knew I wanted to get to this point. I wanted a very soft blue, so I put in a little bit of blue, all right? And I did find one that had a sky blue. You see how this one needs to be mixed? Sky blue. A soft blue. And then I wanted something more on the sky level. Okay, and then I wanted just a good old blue, all right? And believe it or not, I used the same bowl, but I went from light to dark, because I was tired. That's how it worked. And it worked out fine. So I mixed it into a bowl, and then I put one of these bags on the cup, I fold it over on a cup. And I just take the spoon and I start throwing them in there. Then I still have icing left, and then I go to a deeper color, then a deeper color. So yeah, you have to mix it when you're mixing your colors like you would do with any kind of icing, a good old fork and a bowl. Just no heart attacks over there. And I notice again, I told you I have these bags. There are other kind of bags that are thicker, that are probably better for icing, for cake icings. Also, if you don't have a bag, this is what I started off with at my house. Just having fun decorating, not knowing what I was doing, but it worked. I used a Ziploc. I put it in the Ziploc and I pushed everything towards the point of the Ziploc. Boom, there you go. All right? So we're kneading our colors. And one of the first things that we're going to do, Miss Laurel and I have chosen to do a Christmas light, right? To decorate.
Oh yeah, the
first thing-
Christmas bulb,
the
the light bulbs.
Light bulbs. We're back, and the kitchen, this 808 has never smelled so great.
So good.
Ooh, wow. Okay, let's see. What we have to also learn how to do before you can do anything is, how do I squeeze a bag? How do I do this? So I'm gonna loosen this up a little bit. It's not, when I cut a bag to get it started, I don't wanna just come across, because everything's gonna be a mess. So one of the things that had always been recommended to me is to use a number 2 tip. This will be about the only time you're gonna use a tip. And that a number 2 is a good one. This one is being stubborn. All right, let me push this. I'm gonna push the icing up just to help me get it in there.
Oh wow.
You see how small that is? And that's sort of like a way of getting started. And then a lot of times I might pull it a little bit. And then the best thing to do is do exactly what they say. Number 2, all right, I messed it up. All right, I'm gonna go to number 3 for a little bit because I've had enough experience for the tip. But this helps you understand how little that you need to cut. And a number 2 would actually be even smaller than that. This is a different type of tip. So I'm gonna stick with this one for now, all right? Just for the sake of getting the show on the road. And
Now, is that for flooding or trimming or details?
This is for anything, any bag you start with.
Okay.
And then if you start to realize, wait, this isn't working for me, then you shave off a little bit more. You know, you just have to make some decisions. I'm gonna try to cut as little as possible, all right? And I did, and I'm gonna decide if this is what I like. And I always use something like this. Now notice the way I'm handling this. I'm not going nuts over it. I handle it like this. When I have a large bag, I do a twist, because I have arthritis in my hands. So when you are working with your icing, you never want to touch the surface, but you want to do everything in the air, okay? And when you touch the surface, things get kind of messed up, okay?
Never knew that. That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
it makes a world of a difference. And what I'm going to do right now, there's another tool that I use. It's like a stylus, they call it. I don't know why, but it's a pick. That's what I call it, a pick. Now, some people that don't have this and you just want to have fun at home, get a toothpick. I've used toothpicks before, okay? So we're going to take this. We're going to move that away, Miss Laurel. By the way, paper towels are always your best friend when you're doing this. Okay, I'm going to show Miss Laurel.
So that was like how to trim, not to flood.
Not to flood yet. The flood
Okay.
part is actually easier.
I would think
So what we're going to do is take this cookie, and she's going to grab one also. But what I'm going to do, notice the ridges on the side of the cookie. Got it? I'm going to etch where I want to separate the bulb. I want to separate the bulb from the metal part, correct. And then you notice I'm going to take it as well, and I'm going to go divide them into 3. You know, I'm going to have fun with this. So one of the things to remember when you have royal icing is that, you know, when you set your bag aside, and sometimes I forget to do this, I try to push it down a little bit, and I fold it to make sure that it doesn't leak, as well as letting air get into it. When air gets into it, it starts to harden. Okay? So Miss Laurel, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick one of your colors that you wanna do for your light bulb, your Christmas bulb.
my favorite color, blue.
Blue, of course. All right, so we're gonna use this tip. We're gonna let you get started on this. And yeah, very good. Go ahead and put it. And I'm gonna recommend that you don't go ahead and snip some of it off, but not against the tip, because this is a 3. Try to be, we're better off cutting less now and more later. All
That's
right. Okay, now one of the things to do is to see if you like that. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, awesome.
I love
Okay,
blue.
so I'm gonna hang on to the pink, all right? Okay, so this is called, it's almost like crayons, when you're coloring. A lot of times we outline everything first, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna take my icing, and I like to come to where I'm about 1 inch from the tip, my finger. And I'm gonna start going around. Coming down.
How do you not stop and take a break?
You did that a while ago, girl. Well, I know, but okay. Go for it, Mama. If you feel like you need to stop, you can do it at the point.
I think this line is a little bit thinner than that pink, but that's okay, right? Oh,
You're getting it, girl. It's gonna work. It's gonna work.
wait, what if I? Oh, was I not supposed to
You're
come
good.
across? Oh, I
You're
did
good.
it.
Yes, you were
Woohoo!
supposed to come across. All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do the fun part. We're gonna just put a whole bunch of this stuff on the inside. All right. We're gonna put a whole bunch.
I can do that.
Yeah, this is the fun part because it's easy. Get close to the edge. Try not to go too crazy, and don't worry about being too conservative.
Oh. Well,
Keep going, sis.
more.
Yeah.
Cover all of
that. One of the biggest problems is when you don't put enough. Okay, so royal icing is supposed to do its own thing for
Really?
you. So I'm gonna slow down with mine. Okay,
You
now.
don't have to make it.
Now, this is what some people do. You ready? Be gentle with it. And sort of just shake it a little bit.
Like mine has air holes or something.
We're going to work on air holes. All right? Good idea. I already said that. Okay, I feel like that's pretty good. So I'm going to take my stylus, and I'm going to start moving my icing towards the edge. And I use a circular motion. And I'm hoping I don't overflow. Okay, so one of the things I'm not gonna do is put the gray right here next to the wet royal icing because they're gonna blend. We don't want them to blend.
Okay.
So I have a middle section right here. Okay, it's not cut. You see how it's acting up and curling? That means I probably need better scissors. Need to clean it up. It's probably too big, but and when it gets too big, I'm gonna just be really careful on how I do it. And I'm gonna just do this one little section. But what I'm gonna do is just sort of like you painting it in there.
So you want me to go ahead and do it, or you want to fix this tip?
Go ahead and try it, and then I can fix the tip. Just be gentle. Yeah, you don't need to put too much. Like mine was too much. That's good. Now you use your stylus and you make it fit, okay?
Where is that?
I highly recommend wearing this is yours?
It doesn't matter.
Having
I share.
an apron. I'm probably the sloppiest when it comes to decorating. I've never was able to paint anything without making a mess, all right? So what we're gonna do, these cookies have to set aside for a while because if I start fooling with it, I don't want them to merge in colors, okay? And if I put another gray here and gray there, it's gonna all be one thing. So what I wanted to do is to get a little harder, and then what we're gonna do is put another coat, and it's gonna have the ripple where like, wow, a little more realistic effect. Now the only thing that you and I need to do right now, and I messed up right there.
So if I would put another one now, it would just blend, it wouldn't be separate?
It wouldn't be separate.
Okay.
Okay, so this is something that we also need to consider doing, and I forgot to do this, please forgive me. This is when you kind of flooding. And this is sort of one of those fun moments. always check to see if I got what I wanted. Okay.
So this is flooding on flooding.
Yes.
Okay.
My little lights look like it's glowing.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so what's happening, and I probably should have done that right away, instead before the grate. So I want it to kind of look like it has a little glow to it, a little shine. What color